Hi everyone. Today we'll be joined by Clement, who's the owner and founder of Algo Expert. Clement likes to work on algorithms. He's got his own startup at a very young age, and it's a very successful one. So what we'll be talking about today is the various ways in which we can clear our interview for the software engineering role. So Clement, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Clement, and I've been a software engineer at Google for 2 years now. And I also have a side business on the side, algoexpert.io. I think a lot of you might know it from other videos that Gaurav has made where he mentioned it. So you can go to algoexpert.io/Gaurav if you want to purchase the product at a discount. Now, what is the product? We are a website that offers 65 programming interview questions, the kind of questions that you find in interviews at big tech companies, big tech startups, and so on and so forth, the tricky algorithm interviews. And we give you not only a coding workspace where you can code out your solutions, run them against either pre-made or custom test cases and get hints, but you can also see comprehensive video explanations of the questions that are filmed by me, where I really try to step you through step by step how the algorithm works, how the code works line by line, and so on and so forth. So hopefully that's a good summary of the product. And I'm happy to be here.
Wow. Do you have any hobbies?
I do have hobbies. So I would say I'll give you four things that I'm interested in. One is I'm really interested in lifting. For a long time now. I think I'm coming up on like 8 years. I've been into lifting, so working out at the gym basically. That's been something that's been awesome for me. I also love playing video games, although I haven't been able to play a lot of video games in the past couple of years because I've been super busy. But I've always loved video games. I'm interested in investing. I don't know if that's really a hobby as much as it is kind of like an interest and thing to better your life.
Making money, yeah.
We could call it a hobby. And then the last thing is I've always been, from a young age, interested in cardistry, so like card manipulation. So you'll always see me with a pack of playing cards and just like, it's kind of like a fidget spinner. It's my version of the fidget spinner. So that's a unique hobby.
Yeah, that's a really unique hobby. I've just seen magicians do that kind of stuff. That on TV. So.
Yeah, exactly. I got into magic at a young age, and then I got more and more, like I still do sometimes like magic on my own, but I got more and more into just like fiddling around with cards, and it's just something that I really, really enjoy.
Wow. So you must be really good with probabilities by now, because all of those card problems are like off the back of your hand. Huh?
Maybe. Let's say yes.
There's a lot of people who actually ask, where do they start off when it comes to their interview preparation? Because a lot of people think about, should I learn about my computer science fundamentals? Should I think about algorithms? Even in algorithms, there's people who start thinking about, is it dynamic programming I should start with? Should I go to a site which has everything laid out? Like there's some free content out there, Hacker Rank, I think, and other sites. So what's the special thing about Algo Expert that sets it apart?
Yeah, I think that there are really two things that set it apart, and they're the two problems that I set out to solve when I founded Algo Expert with my friend and co-founder Antoine. And those two things are, number one, we aggregate everything in one platform, right? We give you like the curated list of questions. We give you a coding workspace where you can code them out. You can read hints, right? You can look at test cases. You can see whether or not your code is passing test cases. And that's really important because back when I was prepping for interviews, I either had to use textbooks and then I had to like maybe write them and like code them out in an editor, and I didn't have test cases. Then I had to parse through solutions. It was really complicated. Then I would go like on random Wikipedia articles or random websites like HackerRank, but I didn't really like the user interface of HackerRank and these kinds of things. So that's one thing, right? An organized platform. But the second thing, and probably the most important thing, is that we also offer these very in-depth video explanations for each and every question. And that really makes the difference between sort of maybe getting how an algorithm works from a book, or sort of maybe getting it from a complicated Wikipedia article that's borderline like academic, and actually understanding like, oh, this is how depth first search works, right? This is how maximum increasing subsequence in an array works. These are complicated algorithms, and videos, at least for me and for the majority of people that I've talked to, tend to really make the difference.
When I started off with these YouTube videos, one person had mentioned that an image is worth 1,000 words and a video is worth 1,000 images. So you're absolutely right, because when you see the animation, when you see the breadth first search actually happening in front of you, the comprehension is tremendous. Your recall is tremendous because you can always think about that animation, and you get the flow of the algorithm in minutes, basically, instead of pouring through so many textbooks and trying to figure out how is this thing working and trying to imagine basically a mathematical concept. It's far easier if you see it happen in front of you graphically. So guys, we have had a lot of interview videos on this channel. You can check out the links in the description below. You can also check out the Algo Expert site. It's a really good one. But Clement, what do you think is the most important piece of information or the most important tip that you would like to give for a software engineering interview?
I think that aside from all the coding and algorithms and data structures, which is of course sort of like the primary thing, communication. Communication is key. I think it's the thing that can make or break someone in a software engineering interview. You have to be able to explain your thought process in a clear and unambiguous way. And even sometimes when you don't know the answer or you're not necessarily doing the best in the sort of algorithm portion of the interview, if you are a good communicator, which in turn sort of tells your interviewer that you might be a good problem solver because you're explaining how everything is working in your mind, that will bring you very far.
Actually, Clement, you are from a non-computer science background, right?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. So how did you learn all this stuff so quickly?
So I come from an unconventional background. In college or university. I was kind of all over the place. At one point I was going to study visual studies, which is sort of like a mixture of art and like Photoshop and video editing. So it was a bit like very different than what I'm doing right now. Then I realized like that wasn't really what I was interested in. I enjoyed video editing and Photoshop, but I didn't really enjoy the like art history aspects of it and all that. So then I kind of switched all over the place and ended up in math. So I did do mathematics, which gives a very good foundation, I think, for computer science and especially like algorithm analysis. But after college, I said, I need to learn how to code. Like all the things that I want to do, if I want to build my own company, if I want to become like a product manager, I need to learn how to code. So I enrolled in a 3-month coding boot camp. These coding boot camps are very popular these days, where you're basically taught how to code in 3 to 6 months. And the rest is history. I ended up loving software engineering, and everything ended up really well.
That's incredible, actually. 3 months. What are we doing wasting our money on a 4-year course, getting a bachelor's degree? What's the point? You can learn it.
No,
it's actually an interesting thing, because like a lot of the value proposition that these boot camps are giving now is that maybe you don't need a 4-year degree, right? Maybe you don't need a 4-year degree in computer science. Maybe you can get that in 3 to 6 to 9 months. Now, this is sort of controversial. There are some people who will tell you like that is totally incorrect. Also, a lot of people will tell you, oh, but you had a math background, which really helped, which is true. It did give me some foundation, although I really had never written a line of code before I started the boot camp. So I do think that that's like important to note. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll start to see a big shift in the next 2, 3, 5 years, where a lot more people are going to be not doing a conventional 4-year degree or 5-year, depending on where you live, and might be doing more of these sort of apprentice or trade school kind of things, where it's all day long, all you do is code, and you get practical skills that companies actually need.
That's a very interesting future that you have painted. I hope it never comes true, and my 4-year degree keeps helping me all the time to go ahead. Gives me that tiny edge,
Yeah.
Over the other.
Exactly.
So most computer science graduates consider the rest of the graduates to be something akin to insects, basically. Like you can squash them and keep moving ahead. But people like you make me lose my faith in humanity, So
it's interesting. Like there's this like thing where yes, a lot of people I think like a lot of people who did do the computer science route will say, oh, there's no way you can do it with just a boot camp. And I think, they're right in some senses because, in a boot camp in 3 months, you're not going to become an expert in like operating systems and algorithms and compilers and everything, right? But you can get the skills that you need for the industry. That's, I think, the argument.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's true. And also the practical skills that you have as a person who's built a product. Yeah, basically they have dealt with problems of scale and other things in person. So that kind of information, it's very hard to get through books. And it's very hard. I mean, you can't experience that kind of stuff when your server crashes and stuff. I was going through your interview with Tech Lead, and I was really impressed at the kind of scenarios that you're handling. Pretty similar. I mean, it's almost identical to the scenarios people handle at work. So it's amazing, actually.
Right, and you see, this is where I think it's very interesting. Like my experience of the boot camp really prepared me precisely to be able to build a web app like Algo Expert. Now, of course, there were a lot more complicated things that go into building a web app that I actually needed a co-founder for. That's why I have a co-founder who's done like all of the infrastructure and back end of the product. And a lot of those skills I didn't have. But the ones that I did have that were very practical, like how do you spin up a web app, right? How do you spin up a web app and like serve a product on, the browser? Those are the kinds of skills that a lot of people actually don't get in a computer science degree. Not everybody. I'm sure that some people do, and some people self-teach themselves, but that was really valuable to me.
That's really inspiring, to be honest. I've heard of this, the notion basically that you don't need a degree to do well at computer science, and you're a living, breathing example of it. And actually, I'm getting inspired to start doing machine learning now because I don't have a degree on data science or something like that. But I feel like maybe if I join a boot camp or something, let's see. I'm not very sure, but
well, it's funny. I'm actually doing the same thing. I'm interested in machine learning. Fortunately for me, I have the mathematical background or foundation, like linear algebra and statistics and that kind of stuff. But I have no idea how to do machine learning. I've just taken, I know vaguely some of the terms, but so I'm taking online courses like Udacity Nano Degrees or Coursera classes, and I'm just going to try to figure it out.
That's superb. Wow. Okay, guys. In case you're looking for a role model in today's world, we have Clement. It's really.
Let's.
No, I don't mean to say that in a but truly, I mean, if you're looking for examples, you can have a look over here, because here's a person who's not done a formal computer science degree and is pretty good at computer science and is constantly evolving themselves to get better. So yeah, I think this praise, I mean, you deserve it, Clement. Don't get awkward about this.
Well, I mean, I think the people who are truly the most inspiring are the ones who have been able to self-teach themselves computer science from scratch with no degree, no boot camp. And I know a few people like that. Those, I think, like, I don't think I would have been able to do that. That's why I needed the boot camp, which gave me that sort of like structured curriculum. So if any of you watching are that kind of self-learner, that's really the most impressive and inspiring, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's very few people I've seen that way. In fact, I think some of our very senior engineers, the ones who are the smartest and the ones we go to for advice, those guys are people with a degree maybe in something else, and they have gone through tons and tons of systems and actually gone through all these experiences to be really good at what they do today. So yeah, I agree with you. Yes, they are really inspiring. You know what? I think that it would be really useful if we can have something like a mock interview or about maybe algorithms, system design, anything that actually people want. I mean, if you're okay with that, Clement.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Let's have it in the next video. If you'd like a mock interview, you can comment down. I'll also take a poll in the community tab. I'll be asking all the questions from the 4-year degree that we had, guys. So don't worry. We'll see how much they really know.
I'm looking forward to it. Put under the test.
So thanks so much, Clement, for coming. It's been wonderful talking to you. It's also something to look forward to, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Gaurav. This was really fun. And hopefully the people watching, hopefully you were able to get something out of this.
Perfect. We'll see you next time then. Bye-bye.